Today's video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Get unrestricted access to worldwide content at expressvpn.com/inside. If you are looking for a few new games to get excited about, we've got you covered. There were two huge video game showcases last week that you might have missed, and they were packed with tons of new and interesting games. Maybe too many games. Combined, the Future Games Showcase and the ID at Xbox Showcase have a total runtime of about 5 hours, and between the two of them showed off updates and new trailers for probably over 100 games. We know that's quite a lot, and that you're probably super busy, so we took the time to go through both events and pull out just the highlights. So let's get started with the Future Games Spring Showcase. Sifu is a kung fu inspired action game and it looks pretty cool. You might remember already seeing a trailer for the game during a PlayStation State of Play event earlier this year, but the awesome thing about the Future Games Showcase is developers actually provide commentary over some of the games being shown. In this case, Pierre Tarno, a co-founder of Slowclap, explained the premise of Sifu, and if you weren't already sold by the fast-paced hand-to-hand combat, then listen to this. In Sifu, you are hunting down 5 assassins responsible for the death of your family, each named after one of the Chinese elements: wood, fire, water, metal, and earth. Now here's the kicker: each time you die in the game, your character actually gets a little bit older. Apparently, there's a limit to how old you can get, and Tarno added, "We'll be discussing more about what exactly happens when you do have that game over in the coming months." Sifu is slated for release in 2021 on the PS5, PS4, and the Epic Games Store. Now, you know every one of these showcases is gonna have at least one incredible looking pixel art game, and Savior is no exception. According to Weston Tracy, the game's director, Savior is an open world action adventure game built around 3 pillars: combat, movement, and narrative. What immediately stands out here is the fluidity in the way the game moves and animates. There's dialogue trees and some extensive world building going on here, but honestly, I can't stop watching the player character dive off cliffs and bound off this dude's head. It's incredible. Unfortunately, this game is more than a little ways out, projected to release on Steam and Switch in winter of 2022. Next up, Arctic Awakening is a first-person adventure game that has some serious Firewatch vibes and then some. You play as Kai, whose plane has mysteriously crashed in an Arctic environment, and your only companion is a court-mandated therapy bot. The trailer for the game immediately features 2 off-screen characters talking some serious trash about Kai, which indicates that there might be some cool character development going on. But what's even more interesting is some of the mysterious science fiction elements that come into play as you try to survive the wilderness. I hate to do it to you, but this game also isn't coming out until 2022, but it will be hitting PC, Mac, and the consoles. In addition to at least one great looking pixel art game, every big game showcase has to have at least one supercut or sizzle reel of like 6 games with a few gems in it, and I'm here to tell you, the Future Games Spring Showcase did not disappoint in this regard. We got a glimpse of The Wandering Village, which is a creative city building game. Minute of Islands is a visually striking puzzle platformer. Endling is a side-scrolling exploration game that's surely gonna make somebody cry, definitely not me. And Widow is a calming puzzle game that's just fascinating to look at. The Future Games Showcase also featured a number of updates for games you've probably already heard about, but it feels worth mentioning here. There were a few new gameplay clips for Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Turtle Rock showed off their new card system in Back 4 Blood, which is a way for players to interact with the game's AI director, and a developer presentation of Returnal revealed more about the game's combat mechanics and non-linear narrative structure. Lastly, there's a huge update coming this year for Elite Dangerous called Odyssey, which will allow players to visit procedurally generated planets, disembark from their ships, and engage in first-person combat. Alright, that's gonna round out the Future Games Showcase, so let's move on to the ID at Xbox Showcase. First up, The Wild at Heart is a bewitching top-down game that looks like it combines elements of Don't Starve and Pikmin. According to the game's website, you can amass a horde of magical creatures to help you fight enemies, collect loot, and reach new areas. There is also a large crafting element which will allow you to build new structures, items, and upgrades. The game is set to come out this year on PC and Xbox. Next up, Nobody Saves the World is a procedurally generated dungeon crawler with a unique premise brought to you by the developers behind Guacamelee. Monsters are taking over the world, and the only person able to hold them back is missing. You play as Nobody, a pale androgynous humanoid who finds a magic wand that lets them take on multiple forms to fight back against the monsters and an impending calamity. Sure, notable dungeon crawling archetypes like knights and rogues are here, but you start the game out as a rat and can turn into many other things like a horse or even a mermaid. Each form has its own special abilities and upgrade paths, and by unlocking them through quests, you will discover even more forms. It's a really creative concept to spice up that style of game, and combining abilities to come up with new builds for different forms seems like it could be a lot of fun. Nobody Saves the World is coming to Xbox and consoles sometime this year. Okay, enough messing around. Death's Door is probably the game I am the most hyped about between both showcases, and honestly, maybe just in general. First off, just look at this bird with a sword going to work. it's awesome. In Death's Door, you are a harbinger of death and a reaper of souls responsible for killing things that refuse to die naturally. The game is being made by Acid Nerve, the creators behind Titan Souls, but Death's Door seeks to be a more approachable linear RPG experience where you can upgrade things like strength and speed. There are also a ton of secrets and upgradable weapons to find, so you can beat the game and then pick up the same save to go back and 100% everything. The developers explain that they have built the combat around reactive interactions, so attacking, dodging, and countering with different weapons should feel very responsive. Visually, it's quite a lot of fun to look at, and I can't wait for this game to come out. It's expected to release this summer on Steam and Xbox consoles. Alright, that brings us to the Supercut Gems section of the ID at Xbox showcase. Little Witch in the Woods is a witch life fantasy RPG that continues to be one of the most charming games I have ever seen. Echo Generation is a turn-based adventure game about kids investigating supernatural phenomenons. Griftlands is a deck-building roguelite made by Play Entertainment, and Loot River is a dungeon-shifting roguelike that combines Bloodborne and Tetris. As you can tell, the ID at Xbox showcase was packed full of games, but the biggest highlight probably came at the end of the 3-hour livestream in the form of another sizzle reel. This short video showed off over 20 of the games announced during the showcase, and some that weren't, like Sable, that will be coming to Game Pass day one with their respective launch dates. The value of Game Pass as a service continues to skyrocket, and shows like this, just in general, make me feel like there's never been a better time to love and play video games. That's gonna do it for our highlights of the Future Game Spring Showcase and the ID at Xbox Showcase. Thanks for watching, and if we missed a game you're really looking forward to, or you just want to shout something out, sound off in the comments, and we'll catch you on the next one. Man, I really hope both of these events get shorter in the future.